aside from the marquee of, dealing with the thing that is stressing you, I think the other huge thing we can do to relieve our stress is follow through. Do yourself the blessing and do yourself the favor.
Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Park Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer.
Welcome back, people.
Yes, welcome back.
If you came back, if you weren't too stressed out.
Yes, if we this is the episode you've all been waiting for.
Hopefully you're coming back.
This is how to deal with stress, or how to cope, stress. Or what have we agreed upon?
We agreed upon how do we cope with stress?
How do you cope with stress? Okay, you stop stressing out. That's how you do it.
You die.
Or yes, then okay, we'll get into that philosophically.
You'll go to heaven.
Okay, so I was at a conference in San Diego last week.
I meant to ask you about your trip to San Diego.
It was awesome. No, the speaker was amazing.
Yeah.
He was engaging, funny. He was also my same age, and so a lot of the references he made,
you got him.
We were simpatico tracking. He would make Saturday Night Live references.
Oh, that's perfect.
And so
I'm so jealous. I'm stuck with you guys all the time.
He's like, I don't know
what you're talking about.
Like.
He had a microphone.
Sure.
What is there a name for that, Mr.
I don't know the technical term for that.
Anyway, he had a
Sure.
Garth Brooks situation.
Okay.
Microphone, and then he had a handheld because he would ask questions of the group.
Oh, okay.
And then he'd run and have them take the microphone. And he said, "I feel like Phil Donahue here." That's exactly what happened.
Caleb's amazing.
Deer in headlights over here.
Just
don't
happened.
Even know who
so
Phil
the kid sitting behind me, she was probably 26 years old. She was like, "I'm confused. What are you talking about?" I'm like, Phil Donahue's before Oprah. He was a talk show host.
Glasses.
And I had a friend who is a missionary these days, Todd Honeycutt, who...
Oh, Todd.
There you go.
That one's for Victor.
So he actually, I want to say gets on the show, but he wasn't a guest, like he's on the panel, like they're asking him questions. No, he was in the audience. And so he would do this thing called rabbit teeth. He would do this thing with his mouth where he'd show his two front teeth.
On purpose?
Right? On purpose, as a joke. So he's sitting there in the audience of Phil Donahue. And just like today's talk shows, they would pan to audience members and look at different individual reactions. Well, they hit him at the perfect time. And he went, and he must have seen the red light on the camera. But they hit him and then he did the rabbit teeth. I think he was in the background. He was behind a person they were focused on, and so that's all you could see is you saw the person's head, and then kind of in the background, the head floating at the top right corner. All of a sudden, this guy does a rabbit teeth, and you're like, he's psycho. And but oh man, I remember us guys in the college age group back then. We just thought it was funny as all get out. But I rode my motorcycle.
Oh, that's right, all the way down to San Diego.
So I took 2 days. I stopped in Pasadena, met with a friend, spent the night, and then I had a great idea to do the Angels Crest Highway and the Mulholland Highway on my way to Highway 1, where I was just going to Tom Cruise it, ride my bike down to San Diego, and...
highway through the danger zone?
Highway through the danger zone.
You can't sing it.
Except I got to Highway 1, and there was a stop every 3 feet. Which was super buzz killing to me.
Oh, that is.
And so I ended up, my phone ran out of battery, which was my navigation device.
Oh, no.
I ended up pulling it. I'm trying to find some random place to charge it. I pull into this mall where I had to pay for parking and all this other stuff. And I parked my bike up on this sidewalk, and then I go, and this place is closing. Hey, can I charge my phone? Oh, we have chargers outside. Okay, great. So I sat there. Got a little bit of charge, called my wife, babe, I'm not dead. It's 8:00.
That was nice of you.
Got enough juice to get the map to get to the place, the actual hotel I was staying for the conference. And by the time I got to bed, it was 9 or 9. It was like 9:30, something like that. I was exhausted.
I bet.
But it was an adventure, and it was also
That sounds like fun.
awesome. Except on the way back, it rained the entire time.
Oh, no.
When I was on the motorcycle. And I was shivering in Fresno because apparently the motorcycle pants that I was wearing weren't waterproof. Oh, no. Who knew?
I'm glad you made it back alive.
I did. And I'm all the more grizzled bikerish to...
All right, you have good stories now.
Yes, absolutely. So,
all right, Caleb has our icebreaker question, our get to know you question today. He's doing a great job coming up with questions and not putting it just on me.
I have to do it all the time, so...
Okay.
Yeah, desert island movie. If you were trapped on a desert island and you magically had a way to only play one movie for the rest of your life, what movie would you choose that movie to be?
You know what's funny is I already, because he gave it, we kind of know the questions beforehand. Just, I hate to blow that.
I gave you
definitely
a few
knows the
minutes
answer.
of a heads up.
I know. So we were thinking about it and I immediately thought Top Gun.
Ooh,
did you really?
And then we just sang Highway to Dangers. Isn't that weird?
Is that what Kenny Loggins is saying? Highway to the Danger Zone?
Yeah.
You never knew?
Highway to the Danger
Don't sing
Zone.
it, Chris.
Yeah.
Is that I never knew.
Yes. What did you think he
was
said?
saying?
I thought he said I went to the danger zone.
No, Highway to the Danger Zone.
Why would
That's
it be
why I
highway?
said that.
You're flying
when
in
you
a
were
jet.
like Highway 101 or Highway 1, I was like, oh, Highway to the Danger Zone.
Well, you need
I
a
don't know
jet to
about
get
that.
to
That's
the danger
a stretch.
zone.
That's a stretch.
The danger zone's in the sky.
Because he
Anyways.
went to the danger zone. I went to the danger zone.
I'm going
Got to take you right into the danger zone.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
I went to
The song,
the danger
it's
zone.
called Danger Zone, but it's Highway to the Danger Zone.
No, I guarantee. I'm going to bet you money.
I don't
Ooh,
bet
here we
money.
go.
I'm a good Christian girl. Okay, you do it.
Oh, guy. You're putting on
Why
hours.
do you laugh at that?
I went to the...
So I'm picking Top Gun.
Okay, Top Gun
It was between Top Gun and Dirty Dancing, and I decided
the
on
old
Top
one
Gun.
or the new one?
The old one.
Have you seen the new one?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
It's
I've only
amazing.
seen the new one.
You gotta see the old one.
You can relate to the...
Okay, here's the chorus.
Oh.
Highway to the danger zone. Ride into the danger zone.
Okay,
Could you
fair
just
enough.
say it? Just
You're right, Caroline.
thank you.
I was...
See, I didn't need money. I just
I
needed
was...
that.
There's a few
You can do
different.
it. You can
I
do it.
was wrong.
Later it says, gonna take it right into the danger zone.
Right into... Where
You're gonna get a suit. Stop singing the song.
Whatever. Highway to the... Okay, I'm a better man for knowing this.
There you go.
That's all I'll think about when I'm on the...
When you're riding your motorcycle home.
Yes.
That's what
When
I
I'm
want
on
you
the
to.
rat.
I want you to. You have you can like listen to music
I
in your
can.
helmet. I want you to play that song super loud all the way home.
Okay, I will try not to do a wheelie.
Okay. No, do it, Willie. Have some fun with it.
Don't tell my wife that.
Okay.
She forbade me to do wheelies. I figure she conceded. Well, she kind of conceded with the bike, so she conceded after I had it for a while.
I love your wife.
So yes, she's awesome. Okay,
All right, Caleb, what's your
Caleb, what is
movie?
your movie?
Well, see, I wouldn't just go with my favorite movie because I feel like a desert island movie needs to fulfill so many different requirements because it needs to have the
You've
adventure,
had a lot of time.
romance,
Yes.
comedy. It needs
Totally.
to like hit everything. So what I kind of settled on is The Princess Bride. I think is like the perfect adventure.
Love will love
Exactly.
my way is what brings
Okay,
us
let
down.
me
Did
just-
you play that guy in the movie?
Inconceivable.
I did think a little bit about that with my movie. It's a love story. It's some action.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some funny stuff in there. It's got great music. It's got upbeat music
yep.
you could exercise to, but it also has
true.
some quiet music if you need some downtime.
That's
True.
Man, I didn't consider the music.
So I was
Oh,
thinking
the
of all of
music.
that.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh,
Now we leave it to Chris.
it would have to be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Really?
Greatest Indiana Jones movie there was.
Okay. Is that why you were asking if you could do a trilogy? Because you were going to do like all the Indiana Jones movies?
I was going to do Lord of the
Pretty
Rings
sure
trilogy.
there's 5 of those. Yeah, I do always consider Lord of the Rings, and I would probably choose the Fellowship of the Ring.
I do not like The Lord of the Rings.
You haven't watched it,
I tried. My
You didn't
daughter's
try
trying to
hard
watch
enough.
through them now.
huh?
My daughter's trying to watch through them now. She's like, I'm trying to watch through the Lord of the Rings. All my friends say. I'm like, oh, she's like, yeah, it's really hard.
Wow,
I don't know what it
that's
is.
weird.
Give me some Harry Potter all day long. I'm in.
It's a similar thing. There's like philosophy and stuff that you got to pay attention to.
Maybe that's the problem. I don't watch movies
It's
to
not
pay attention.
mindless.
Oh wow, no, the philosophy is strong.
All
in
right.
this one.
Today,
Allegory.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it.
You won't understand it.
You won't get it. You don't watch the
But yeah, no. Last Crusade, man, you have everything. You have, man, and I remember the first time seeing the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. They were amazing. Not going to mention the final 2, but being a kid and watching those Indiana Jones movies, just thinking at every turn, it was like, oh no, here he's going to buy it, and then he makes it through. And that scene where he has this diary and he bumps into Hitler, and Hitler signs it, it gives him his autograph, and hands it back to him. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So there's the thing, and the music. Forget about it.
And there's some love story in there, right? Is there a love story in that one?
Yeah,
I haven't seen those
Indiana
movies
Jones
since I was
is kind
a
of a
kid.
womanizer. I've always wanted to be like a happily married, like Indiana Jones or happily married James Bond, where I'm doing all the cool things.
I
but
don't think it was possible for James Bond to be happily
come
married.
home to my wife. So James Bond is actually modeled after an actor named Christopher Lee, who played in Lord of the Rings. He played Saruman.
Look at this. It goes round and round.
Yes.
It all connects.
Yeah. Because Christopher Lee lived a life of like, he did all kinds of crazy stuff that was like James Bondish, apparently. His cousin was Ian Fleming.
Would it be weird to you if you found out, like after I died, that I was actually like this FBI operative, then I did all that crazy stuff and you just never knew and you just thought it was...
You were super humble about it?
I was just the scared person. You thought gosh, Caroline's scared of everything, but I really
His past isn't real.
Yeah.
You're not injured.
She takes the knife out the cast. That would be, I mean, kudos to you.
That would be funny, huh?
That would be like, wow, you really pulled one over on us.
You won't know till I'm dead.
You won't know. Oh, God.
All right, our question.
Please.
Which we need. How do we cope with stress?
Lots of ways.
We watch the same movie over and over again on a desert island.
So, yes. Okay, so last episode we talked about stress and the types of stress and how stress is necessary in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not bad.
It's not good. It's not
is.
bad. And I would even argue further that it could be good. It's just how our relationship with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be on the marquee of how to deal with stress, I guess would say befriend it.
Yes.
Like, and then people are like, what the heck does that mean? Befriend it. Yeah. Well, I don't see it as something you have to run away from. See it as a signal that's telling you to move to action.
I'm thinking of a horse all of a sudden.
What?
Because of our last episode, and we talked about equine therapy and horses, right? And we look at a horse and you want to run.
Of course.
Unless that horse, of course, is Mr. Ed.
He is.
Do you know Mr.
He's
Ed?
in a blank.
I do know Mr. Ed.
Okay, he got that one.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. You know, befriend the horse. Move towards the horse. It can give you equine therapy and help you.
Don't try to hug it right away.
It could buck you off as well. But we're going to see it as a friend. So that's how we're approaching stress.
There you go. There you go. So there's many ways to befriend stress. One of them, of course, is that you analyze, you look at, you have a conversation with yourself about what the stressor is, and then you determine what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes when we avoid things and we're like, I don't know what to do, so I avoid it, hence my fixing my motorcycle story last episode. I avoided that task because I was like, well, if I run into a snag, I'm not going to know what to do. Mm-hmm. And then I started to work on it and I ran into more difficult snags, but then I persisted and it fixed it. So, but avoiding things, avoiding things doesn't fix them. FYI.
What? They don't just
strange.
go
I'm glad
away?
You're sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they just went away.
Avoiding things creates the chronic stress.
Yes.
It can be the acute stress to actually face it, but you feel better in the long run. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. So here's another question to consider. Consider your stress on a scale of 1 to 10. Where is your stress? Mm-hmm. So let's say you say my stress is at an 8. The next question is, where would you like your stress to be? If 1 is nothing or minimal and 10 is like super stressed,
it would depend on the situation.
Where would you like your stress? What number would you like your stress?
It depends on the situation.
What do you mean? Explain.
If I'm sitting at home just chillaxing, I want my stress to be at a 1.
Okay.
If I'm running from that horse I was trying to befriend, I want my stress to be a 10, so I'm getting out of there.
So you see it as a utility.
It could be,
That helps you. That's a good, that's true. Right?
Yeah.
And honestly, do we really want it at a 0? Because, I mean, we'd have to be on some pretty heavy meds to have it be a 0.
Right, because at a 0, you're feeling nothing.
Right.
At all.
And let's say relational stress. You may need a certain amount of like stress or tension to inspire you to do certain things.
Right. So would you say if you're at a 0 and on the stress level, you're going to become complacent?
That is exactly right. And honestly, that's what happens to a lot of chronic weed smokers. Let's be honest here.
And you know this how? No.
I've seen it. I've heard stories. No, but like, we have one of our counselors, Eric Klusiak, when he approaches, when he sees a lot of teenagers and they're like, yeah, I smoke weed a lot. And he's like, okay, fine. He goes, so it's designed to kind of mellow you out. Yeah. Like, what are you mellowing out from? Oh man, life, it's so hard. That's like, and then of course you do try to avoid laughing at the kid who has all his bills paid and gets a ride to school.
Right.
But
so
okay,
hard.
Let's be serious. The kid has his own stressors. So he's like, I don't know, man, school's stressing me out. I was like, well, how you doing in school? Well, I'm not doing well at all. Okay, so you're not actually doing school. Maybe it's going to school and talking to people. Maybe that stresses you out, So, you avoid that. But then you also never build up a resilience to saying, there's things inside of me that can manage this stress and overcome it.
Yeah.
So, if you mellow yourself out too much, it's just going to build frustration. You're mellowed out. You don't engage in action. Mm-hmm. Because you don't engage in action, you feel bad because you haven't overcome the problem. And then because you feel bad, you smoke the weed, which then mellows you out, and then you don't do anything. You see the loop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So that's interesting because I always tell people when people numb out because they don't want to feel the negative emotions, they don't realize that you can't just can't just numb out the negative emotions. You're also numbing out the positive, so you're not feeling anything.
Right. Yes, and so
it's very boring.
You numb out the stress and you numb out the feeling of awesomeness.
Right.
Backfire.
Right. Now you don't get that adrenaline rush as you do wheelies on your motorcycle on the way home while you're listening to Highway to the
And by the way, wheelies are stressful. But when you overcome them, they feel...
I mean, being that my son is still trying to perfect his on his bike and has gotten a concussion and a displaced shoulder, I think they are stressful. They're stressful for a mom and a wife.
I would say to your son with his 1 concussion...
2. He's had 2.
2. Hold my beer. Well, actually, no. I wouldn't have him hold my beer.
Please don't have my son hold your beer.
As long as he doesn't partake. I've had like a baker's dozen.
Yeah, I know.
Beers or concussions?
Hard to tell at this point.
Good question. Anyways.
I don't know that you should say that so proudly.
Right. So again, we're talking about the whole 1 to 10 scale thing is kind of measuring and having a conversation with yourself about where you are, where you would like to be. And here's the other question with that. What if you say you wanted at a 3 or a 4, what does that look like for you? Mm-hmm. Because I've talked to plenty of people who run around constantly and they're at an 8 stress. And when I ask them, well, what does a 3 look like? They're like, well, I would have less to do, or I would manage my time better, or I wouldn't take on so many projects or so many people's responsibility.
Yeah.
And so that's something to really conceptualize. And I'm telling you, write stuff down about like, okay, this is what I would like my situation to look like.
Yeah.
And then look at some of the roadblocks that say, okay, what's keeping me from getting to that situation?
I think I just talked to someone about this week, the whole reverse engineering thing.
Ooh.
Right? Like, this is where I want to be. This is where I am. And then walk the steps back. Yeah. How you get to point A to point B.
Can't I just imagine it and get there?
You can manifest it. Oh. Just kidding. Just kidding, people.
I'm just waiting for the universe to just bring it to me. manifest it from the universe. It's so crazy to me. People say the universe, but they won't say God.
Yeah, right.
Like the universe cares about you. Anyway, I'm sorry. Don't give me going.
So, interesting thing about stress, right? Stress, it does something, neurologically in our bodies. It does something to us. You're activated
physiologically, neurologically, sure.
You're activated by stress, and so people see that, right? That activation, whether it's your heart rate increases, you get sweaty, a million things can happen, and they tend to freak out over that.
Sure.
And then go to that threat response, right? So if you feel that, because the activation of stress is not how the response to stress. So you feel the activation, again, befriend that.
Sure, it's fun to be sweaty.
I'm stressed. My palms are sweaty. Like, instead of being like, stress has my palms sweaty, is okay. My body is having an activation to the stress. It's causing something.
Yes.
How am I going to respond to that?
So one of the most popular things we can do is actually get control of our bodies.
Yeah.
Right. Stress is felt, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically.
Yeah.
And so if we're feeling it physically, there is a practical thing we can do and get control of our bodies. And so that usually means breathing deep into the nose and then breathing out through the nose. And not just that, doing that, say, 10 times. But also paying attention to how it feels. Paying attention to, this weekend or this past week, I went to that training, and he mentioned, when you breathe in, imagine, and you can feel it, the air is cool, cooling and exhilarating sensation. And then when you breathe out through your nose, the air is warm and soothing. So at the same time, believe it or not, take your shoes off.
Yeah. Definitely taking
your shoes off can be one little way. And listen, let's put the breathing aside, which is important. Taking your shoes off can actually be a way for you to be like physically connected and grounded to the ground. It activates the senses, and there's a ton of sensory input into your feet.
Yep.
Right. And if you have carpet, man, kudos to you.
Yeah, but if you have dirt or grass, even better. Go stand on that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my!
So people
watch for the dog poop.
People probably think, I do a lot of grounding work.
Yes.
I do it with my clients, and a lot of people think that's weird, especially as Christians. We'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's." However, can we talk about the Garden of Eden, where where creation started, where we were created?
Were we born with shoes? What the heck?
Like, you don't think that God is so amazing that He could create magnets or electro things that come from the ground that rejuvenate our body?
Right. It's all magnificence and it displays His glory.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are preaching to the choir here because I'm a barefoot runner.
Oh,
I never really thought of it as grounding, like necessarily, but
totally grounding.
But it just brings another level of connection between your body and the environment, right?
Yeah.
I love to be able to feel the ground under my feet, like the touch of the grass, or the texture.
Your feet don't get so tough that you don't feel those things?
No.
Wow.
No, they continue to have that sensitivity.
I am a super sissy when it comes to walking barefoot on like rocks and stuff.
Well, I am too. To some extent. It's a challenge. It's a stressor, right? But I work through it. And I'm not going to say that obviously being barefoot isn't for everyone, but
But it should be, because
do you
that's how
run
we're
barefoot
born.
and like hit a rock and be like, God?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you just keep running.
That hurt.
Have you ever cut your feet?
No.
See, that's awesome.
I know. See, because the thing is, I can look at the ground and I see, there's some glass. I'll just avoid that. Or sometimes I do step on it, but it's never cut my feet. So
yeah.
You should ride a motorcycle if you want to feel connected to the
with bare feet.
environment.
Okay.
Not with bare feet. Not with bare feet. Not like. There's different types of motorcycles, right? You got to be on a standard, not the whole like rocket thing. That just seems so unrelaxing to me, is like leaning over one of those speed bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also found, breathing to be really helpful for me when I'm stressed. Like, okay, I need to slow down, just remember to breathe. And then like walking too. And I forget that I'm an embodied creature at sometimes when I'm stressed or I'm working, and I'm like, I need to move my body and just feel.
So excellent point, Caleb. That is another way to relieve stress. And by the way, if you guys aren't out there in listening land, if you're not doing some of these things on a regular basis, you are absolutely and truly missing out on some of the blessings God has to give you. walking is so simple. And it's amazing to me when I tell people, oh yeah, I walked from here. And people will say like, oh my gosh, that's so far. Once you are actually a walker and you do start walking, you realize how quickly you can get places. It's crazy.
Such great bilateral stimulation, gets your brain going, connects your thinking part, and I could just go on and on.
Well, and it enables you to clear your head.
Yeah.
And part of the deal with walking isn't just, and here's what a lot of people do. And, again, I'm not here to tout a bunch of rules that you have to follow, but people get in the habit of listening to podcasts and music and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Awesome. More power to you. But if you don't listen to anything and you notice things and you study things around you while you're walking, right? Mm-hmm. So long as you don't, fall into a sewer, but you pay attention to some degree, but you can, you move at a pace that you can look around and you can notice. And you will be surprised with all that you do notice and how much it will clear your head from the stressors of the clock, the 5,000 things you have to do.
Yeah. I am someone who chronically listens to like podcasts or music, but I do try every so often to just take like a walk without listening to anything. Or I was reading this book.
That's the way to do it right there.
That I love called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
I've heard it.
Fantastic. But I think that's another huge part is rest. But in that book, he mentioned just like try driving somewhere and not listening to anything on the radio and see, what your brain does. And it's like amazing because you start to like process things and be able to think versus just blocking it out with listening to something or, And I felt like so much more refreshed just taking that car ride and just being in silence and being able to process things and just rest and
because that's the whole thing where stress causes junk in our body, right? It's not the stress that's causing the junk in our body, it's our inability to process that stress
is absolutely
that
true.
Causes the junk,
because stress is relative,
right?
That's why we laugh when we hear about a kid who has his meals paid for, all his bills, and he gets a ride to school, and he's stressed. Yeah. Because, so many of us out there have lived a life where it's like, okay, we manage homes and bills and jobs and all these things, deadlines, and yet somehow we function. Now, there's so many people who are high performers that I talk to. And they really they really get off on that drug, and so they end up piling up the chronic stress in their body. And so to suggest to them, hey, go take a walk. Here's another one: find a body of water and jump in the water.
Does a bathtub count?
No, no. It could be hot tub. Could be. I like to find natural bodies of water because in doing so, you envelop your body in a sensory experience. And part of our Christian faith is that we experience. It's experiential. And if we're missing the experiential part of our faith, then that's a huge component, and we'll end up burnt out, frustrated, and all this other stuff. And again, we'll be frustrated at the stress we can't deal with and then beat ourselves up about, I should be able to do this.
Right.
Meanwhile, we're not allowing ourselves blessing. So to be able to find, especially from, again, a natural body of water, you can get under that water and you can just feel God's creation around you. And does it shiver? And by the way, taking a cold plunge is exceptionally good for your body.
It is.
So then I expect one out of you every other week. So
I did cold showers for a while.
Oh, did you? Good on you.
It was good.
I think you hit on something big there, which is that our culture has this huge value on busyness and doing things. And we have a God that calls us to rest, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think we often equate rest with laziness or not getting something done. But I think that's a huge way to reduce stress is when you give yourself that chance to refresh and recharge and set healthy boundaries and find activities that bring you, not more stress and anxiety, but can help relieve that and remind you of who you are and just give you the space you need to be able to process. And,
So I did write an article called "The Problem Is No Fun," I've mentioned it before on this podcast. And it talks about the importance of fun. And having stress, having a problem, a lot of times gives us direction, purpose, and meaning. But then that's all we engage in. And so we become burnout. And we think fun is, like you said, fun is a waste of time. So I quote Abraham Lincoln. I hope I'm getting this quote right. He said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 5 sharpening the axe. And so whenever I ride my mountain bike, or whenever I go to the gym, or take that hour-long walk, and and by the way, the plaguing thoughts about me wasting time, that was early on, but they have since abated. And so as I recognize that I need the walk, I'll take the walk, and it will sharpen my axe so that I'm a better performer in the work that I do have to do. Right? So that's another way to take care of stress.
Yeah.
Here's, what number are we on? Doesn't matter. Another way to take care of stress is actually confront the problem.
No, that doesn't sound fun.
Address the problem. So
I thought we were ignoring the problem.
Ooh, I know. Jeez. Well, good luck with that. So if I had a stack of notes that I didn't want to get to, that I'm like, that stresses me out, so I want to go have fun. Except every time I see the notes and every time I think about the notes, that hit of stress comes back to me. So I'm being asked through that stress to fix the problem, get my notes done. Now, if I have such a stack that, if I sat there for 12 hours, I couldn't get through them. How about then I commit to myself 2 hours a day until they're gone?
Yeah.
Right? At least 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. And then I'm reminding myself, hey, I am chipping away at that pile.
Again, set realistic expectations for yourself.
I'm going to get this pile done in an hour. Well, don't careful. So you're right. Realistic expectations and being able to say, okay, I'm going to work 2 hours. I'm going to be diligent. I'm going to focus. And then you start to see that pile diminish, and that brings a good feeling, which then can lower the stress.
Yeah.
There you have it. Yes.
So true.
Another thing people don't think about, sleep. Gotta sleep, man.
Never heard of it.
So we are long gone from the era of, hey, I only need 4 hours.
Yeah.
Remember Martha Stewart? They said Martha Stewart only slept 4 hours.
That's why she ended up in jail. That's where she caught up.
That's what happened.
I had a roommate that would always say, like, sleep is for the weak, or, you'll sleep when you're dead. He stayed up all night, playing video games and whatever.
Oh, goodness.
And slept through all his classes. So I'm like,
the irony. The irony.
I don't think that's a great way to
sleep
live
is for the weak.
This is an argument I have with my 12-year-old all the time because we have a pretty strict bedtime. And he's like, no one else goes to bed at that time. And I'm like, but this is how many hours of sleep you need a night.
Yes.
No, I don't. I can do this many. And I'm like, you can't.
Okay.
That's not what this study.
That's the argument.
So important.
That's it.
I wanted some slam dunk, like, here's the logic of why you can't get away with it.
I mean, I've told him, like, there's research, I can show it to you.
Sure.
And
they're like, I'm falling asleep already.
Right. I will put you to sleep.
Speak like Ben Stein.
Or that as a parent, I can tell when you haven't had the proper amount of sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's always been my rule. If I have to wake you up in the morning to go to school, you didn't get enough sleep last night.
Oh, I like that.
And so therefore,
you come up with these zingers with your kids. It's like this parental jujitsu.
My kids hate it.
It's like, asked and answered. That's another thing. Yes.
Asked and answered. Yeah.
So
this morning, I mean, he went to bed a decent time last night. This morning, he was awake before I was and dressed and ready to go. And so I'm like, great.
You don't say.
He got good sleep last night.
Nice. And so the rule of thumb is 8 to 9 hours. And that's
depending on your age.
Serious. Yes. Yes.
Younger kids need 10 to 12.
Yes, totally.
Teenagers literally do need a solid 10 to 12 hours of sleep.
I know so few adults that actually get at least 8 hours of sleep. Most get like 6, maybe 5.5,
How many hours of sleep do you think you get at night?
I try to get 8. I typically will be in bed by like 11 and then get up at 7.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. How about you?
8. Well, let me think about this. Let me do the math. So I go to bed at 9:30, 10. And here's a strange thing. And I wake up at 5:30. But the strange thing is, whenever my wife and I are separate, like when my wife and I are together, It's like 9:30. We're like yawning and going, oh, it's time to go to the thing. And then when we're apart, if she goes to house sit or something like that, then all of a sudden I'm like staying up till 10:30, 11. And I'm like, what am I doing? And she'll tell me the same thing. I'm like, maybe we exhaust each other. It's weird.
That's what it is.
That's what
you exhaust each other.
Yes, it's exhausting. Just, yes. So sleep, ultra important, right? Eating healthy. And listen, guys, please do yourself the favor. Take these things to heart, because we can hear these things all over the place and go, okay, yeah, I got to get to that. Set a date for yourself to get to some of these things. Set a date for yourself to jump into a natural body of water.
And just like I'm putting here, because that's where your stack of papers where you had to do.
Oh, that's right. My papers. Yes.
Yeah. So, and just like how with that stack of papers to get through, right? I'm going to do 2 hours a day until it's done instead of the whole thing. You start small.
Yes.
Just be like, you know what? I don't really eat breakfast. I'm going to start eating breakfast 2 or 3 days a week.
Muy importante breakfast.
It's you just start small. You don't have to be like, I am changing my whole entire lifestyle and I'm going to throw away all the Haagen-Dazs in my freezer. Don't throw away Haagen-Dazs.
No. Bring it over here.
Please, bring it to us. We'll eat it for you.
We'll dispose of it for you.
But it just start one small, new, good habit. Get 30 more minutes of sleep tonight.
Yes.
Build your way up there.
Love it. And these new things, they may feel clunky at first. That's okay. Going for the walk, you might feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time. Ease into it. Keep going. Allow your mind to clear, right? Lay there in bed with your eyes open for a moment until, and do it regularly until your body starts to get used to that.
Yeah. If it's stressing you, if you're feeling stressed about having to go for a walk, dig into that.
Yes. Oh,
what is this
time.
feeling? Where am I feeling this in my body?
The feelings are trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is this feeling this way?
Another big one to take care of stress: exercise.
That's the walk.
Exercise.
Can be.
Ride a bike.
Dance.
Run barefoot. Dance. Kung fu
Dancing's
someone.
Good.
No.
Ooh, I got good kung fu arm right now.
Oh gosh, it's your secret weapon.
It is my secret weapon.
You gotta have blades that shoot out of it.
That's why I tell my kids, you better go do what I said, or I'm gonna knock you on the head with my cast.
There you go. Use it for good instead of evil. So movement, there has to be movement. We are meant to move.
We are meant to move.
And exercise has. Listen, the argument has been laid to rest. The bone density. Stress relief, cardiovascular support, muscle tone, all these things benefit from exercise. And so, and I've talked to clients, of course, that say, well, I don't like exercise. Well, there might be a reason for that needs to be addressed. If you are not liking movement in your body, that's something to dig into.
Yeah.
And even the idea that your body can't be under any like good stress, like weights or something, is something that needs to be addressed and dealt with.
Yeah.
And so, because eventually when you start to get used to that stress, it becomes something that's exhilarating and inviting, and it's something you start to miss if you don't do it.
Right. And it could be because that's just not your thing and you might need to find something else.
Oh, no.
Maybe
weightlifting has to be your thing.
Maybe your thing isn't weightlifting. Maybe
everybody should lift a weight.
I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. Isn't that enough?
It's a pumptitude.
I go rock climbing and I'm like, man, this is fun.
Yeah,
like,
it's
exercise,
so you find
but I'm like,
your thing. I like to just like throw on some music and have my own little dance party.
That's huge.
And sometimes that turns into like ballet because I grew up doing that. So then I'm stretching,
Nice.
So it's whatever it is for you. It does. You don't have to go to a gym.
It's not true.
Good Lord, I don't go to the gym.
Well, even dig into why. And we don't have to answer this question.
I'll tell you why I don't go to a gym.
Oh, Dan, it's so I'm going to avoid that. It's so tempting to go there. Okay. Stretching.
Stretching,
So
good.
whether you want to call it yoga or not, stretching gets you connected to your body. It is absolutely important. It's something I do before I work out. It's something I never used to do.
Well, at our age, we kind of have to now.
Oh boy, yeah. It's like I've picked up the Haagen-Dazs and I pulled a muscle. So stretching is absolutely important, and the more you do it with different the entire body, the more you will find it does relieve these stressors that are out there, that are in you that you may not realize. I had a twitch in my finger, and I asked a client who has an expertise in, I don't know, muscle stuff. Let's just say
Twitching.
that. Twitching hands, whatever. And they indicated, hey, stretch this way and stretch that way. And I was like, oh, well, that makes total sense. And so that's another way to be connected to your body, to be able to release some of the tension that is held up in us.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a stressor, something that's stressing you, and it activates into your body, and you got to figure out what to do, literally shake it out.
Oh.
Just start bouncing.
Oh.
And thinking about it, and just bounce it out of your body.
Do you play the Survivor theme, Eye of the Tiger? Because that would
you
really
totally
help.
could. No, I play Highway
or shake
to
it off.
I play Highway to the Danger Zone. Or an old song from when my kids were little. How is it? The Doodle Ball. I can't remember. It was shake your sillies out and wiggle your waggles away. It was like a whole little dance. No. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such great somatic work for these kids who get stressed. You just shake your sillies out and wiggle your waggles away.
There you go.
As I shake and wiggle on the couch.
This is the first podcast you brought that up on.
Did I? Because it always comes into my head, that song, when we talk about getting stuff out of my body.
Sure.
I shake my sillies out.
Ew.
I shake my stress out.
Yeah. No, seriously. No. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so we hope we've provided some good direction here. Remember,
I think we have.
Even all the exercises per se in the world will not help you if you're not addressing the thing that is stressing you. It will not address the exercises may calm your body enough to the point that you are able to engage in creative alternative thinking. From the thinking that is getting you stressed in the first place. So potentially you're like, well, I have no other options but to, continue to rescue my adult child from their behaviors, and that may be stressing you out until you start to engage in some of this stuff, and then you start to realize, oh, wait a second, here are some options I didn't know I had. Because doing this stuff is again getting you into the feelings, the emotions. It's not numbing out. It's not going to the drugs. It's not going to the other thing. This is part of the hitting it, dealing with it head on. And it just occurred to me that I think one of the aside from the marquee of dealing with the thing that is stressing you, I think the other huge thing we can do to relieve our stress is follow through. Do yourself the blessing and do yourself the favor. Don't just talk about, I should do this, I should do this. We all get in that trap, me included. I know it's hard to believe, right? No, just kidding. Weird. But to be able to say, look, I've really got to set a time where I am doing this and I'm making it happen. I'm not just giving it lip service, but I'm experiencing it so that I can then get on that bus and realize, there are options I have to start to step away from the stress I'm experiencing. Yeah. And a great way to do that, get some accountability. So whoever you eat dinner with tonight, tell them I listen to this podcast. This is what I learned. I need to start doing this. Hold me accountable. Good idea. Because we can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. No. Awesome. We did it. We did it. We stressed you out and then we brought you back. Thank you. You're welcome. We will see you all next time. Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions. To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.